Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Echo Your English. Today, we're talking about something that almost every English learner has felt at some point, that strange, frustrating feeling when you can understand English pretty well, but when it's your turn to speak, your mind suddenly goes quiet.
Yeah, you're listening to a movie, a podcast, or even this video, and you're thinking, I get this. I understand what they're saying. And then someone asks you a simple question like, so, what do you think? And suddenly it's like all the English just disappears.
And that moment can feel really discouraging. A lot of people start thinking, maybe I'm bad at English, or something is wrong with me, or even, I've been learning for years, so why can't I speak?
I've heard that from so many learners, and honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons people lose confidence. They think understanding should automatically turn into speaking, like it's a switch you can just flip.
Exactly. But the truth is, understanding and speaking are related, but they're not the same skill. And today, we want to talk about why this gap exists, and more importantly, why it's completely normal.
Yeah, if you're listening right now and thinking, that's me, I understand a lot, but I freeze when I talk, I just want to say this right away. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're actually much closer than you think.
One thing people don't realize is that understanding English is mostly a passive skill. Your brain is receiving information, it's recognizing sounds, words, patterns. Speaking, on the other hand, is active. Your brain has to choose words, build sentences, think about pronunciation, and do it all in real time.
And all of that is happening while you're also thinking about how you sound, whether you're making mistakes, and whether the other person is judging you. That's a lot of pressure.
It really is. Imagine trying to cook a meal while someone is watching you closely and timing you. Even if you know the recipe, your hands might shake a little.
That's such a good comparison. And another thing is, most learners spend way more time listening and reading than actually speaking. So your understanding grows faster than your mouth.
And that gap can feel uncomfortable, but it's also a sign of progress. It means your brain knows more than it can smoothly use yet.
Yet is the important word there.
Absolutely. And as we talk today, we want you to listen without pressure. You don't need to repeat everything. Just notice the rhythm, the pauses, the way ideas come out slowly and naturally.
Because speaking English isn't about speed, it's about comfort.
And comfort grows with patience.
Let's talk more about that feeling of freezing and what's really happening in your mind when it happens.
You know, Ryan, that freezing moment we talked about, it often feels very sudden to learners. One second they're fine, and the next second their mind is completely blank. But usually, it's not that they don't know the words, it's that their brain is trying to be perfect.
Yeah, perfection is a big enemy of speaking. When you're listening, you don't need to be perfect. You can miss a word here and there and still understand the message. But when you speak, a lot of learners feel like every sentence has to be correct.
And that pressure slows everything down. Your brain starts checking grammar rules, vocabulary choices, pronunciation, all at the same time.
It's like having too many tabs open in your mind.
Exactly. And then there's another layer, translation. Many learners understand English directly, but when they try to speak, they go back to their first language.
That's such an important point. They think in their native language first, then try to convert the sentence into English. And by the time they're done translating, the moment has already passed.
And that's when people say, I know what I want to say, but I can't say it fast enough.
Which makes them feel slow or shy, even though they're actually thinking very hard.
And thinking hard isn't a bad thing. It just means the process isn't automatic yet.
Automatic, that's the key word. When you listen a lot, your understanding becomes automatic first. Speaking takes longer to reach that stage.
Think about how children learn their first language. They listen for months, sometimes years, before they speak clearly.
And nobody tells a child you're bad at your language.
Exactly. But adults are much harder on themselves.
Another reason speaking feels difficult is fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of sounding silly, fear of being judged.
And fear is powerful. When you're afraid, your body goes into protection mode. Your brain focuses on staying safe, not on being creative with language.
Which is why sometimes you can speak English better when you're alone than when someone is listening.
Or better when you're relaxed, like talking to a close friend.
Or even talking to yourself.
Talking to yourself is actually a great practice. No pressure, no judgment.
And it's very human. We all do it, even in our own language.
Another thing we should mention is that understanding English doesn't mean you understand how to produce it. You might recognize a sentence when you hear it, but that doesn't mean your mouth knows how to build it yet.
That's such a good point. Recognition is easier than creation.
It's like music. You can recognize a song when you hear it, but playing it on an instrument takes practice.
And lots of slow, imperfect attempts.
So if you're listening to this and feeling frustrated, try to reframe that feeling. Instead of thinking, I can't speak, think, I'm in the middle of learning to speak.
That small change in mindset can make a big difference.
And speaking of mindset, let's talk about what actually helps turn understanding into speaking in a gentle and realistic way.
Yeah, not shortcuts, just honest, human ways.
One of the biggest shifts that helps, and this might sound simple, is allowing yourself to speak badly. Not a little badly, really badly.
Yeah, like awkward sentences, wrong grammar, long pauses, all of it.
Because fluency doesn't come from thinking your way into perfect English, it comes from using English, even when it's messy.
A lot of learners wait for a moment when they feel ready, like one day they'll wake up and suddenly feel confident enough to speak.
But that moment doesn't really arrive on its own.
Confidence usually comes after action, not before it.
And another thing that helps is speaking in smaller pieces. You don't need long, complex sentences. Native speakers don't talk like that in real life anyway.
We use short phrases, broken thoughts, and fillers like you know, I mean.
Those little sounds and words give your brain time to think.
And they're not mistakes, they're part of natural speech.
Another helpful idea is to borrow language. When you hear a sentence you like, don't just understand it, try to reuse it later.
That's how we all learned to speak. We copied phrases we heard again and again.
Instead of creating everything from scratch, you're building with ready-made pieces.
That's why listening to conversations like this one is so powerful.
And repetition matters. Hearing the same kind of English many times helps your brain feel safe with it.
Safety is huge. When your brain feels safe, it speaks more easily.
I've also noticed that learners often practice speaking only in test mode. They think of answers, exams, interviews.
But real speaking is casual. It's about reacting, not performing.
Exactly. You don't need to sound smart. You need to sound human.
And humans pause. Humans forget words. Humans correct themselves.
Another thing we should mention is accent. Many learners think, I can't speak because my accent is bad.
But having an accent just means you speak more than one language.
And clarity is more important than sounding like a native speaker.
Plus, accents soften with time, naturally.
Speaking more, even imperfectly, actually improves pronunciation.
It's like training a muscle. You can't strengthen it by watching others exercise.
So true. You have to move it yourself.
And if you're listening to this video regularly, you're already doing something right.
You're feeding your brain with real, natural English.
The next step is gently letting some of it come out,
Even if it comes out slowly.
even if it sounds strange at first.
That's part of the journey.
And it's a journey, not a test.
Let's talk about a few quiet, low-pressure ways to start speaking, especially if you feel shy or nervous.
Yeah, ways that feel safe.
One very gentle way to start speaking is to lower the stakes as much as possible. That means choosing situations where nothing really matters. No grades, no judgment, no pressure to impress anyone.
Like talking to yourself while doing normal things, describing what you're doing, what you're thinking, or even what you're feeling in that moment.
It can feel strange at first, but it's actually powerful. You're training your mouth to move with English without fear.
And you don't need full sentences. Even short phrases are enough. I'm tired today. This coffee is good. I don't feel like going out.
Those small sentences build comfort, and comfort builds flow.
Another low-pressure option is echoing. You hear a sentence and you quietly repeat it, not to be perfect, just to feel the rhythm.
That's why listening to podcasts or conversations again and again helps so much. Your brain starts recognizing patterns, not just words.
And when patterns feel familiar, speaking becomes less scary.
I also think it's important to talk about patience. Speaking is usually the slowest skill to grow.
Yeah, and that can be frustrating because understanding feels like progress, but speaking feels like you're stuck.
But progress isn't always visible. Sometimes it's happening quietly.
I've met learners who suddenly start speaking more after months of feeling blocked. Nothing magical happened, their brain was just ready.
And often, they didn't even notice the moment it changed.
That's another reason not to quit during the quiet phase.
Exactly. If you're understanding English now, you're building a strong foundation.
Speaking will sit on top of that foundation.
Another thing we should mention is comparison. Learners often compare their speaking to native speakers or very fluent learners.
Which is unfair. You're comparing your inside to someone else's outside.
You don't see their past mistakes, their awkward sentences, their silent moments.
And you don't need to sound like them. You just need to be understood.
Being understood is the real goal.
And that happens much earlier than perfect fluency.
So, if today you can say something simple and someone understands you, that's success.
Even if it wasn't smooth.
Even if you paused.
Even if you made mistakes.
Those are signs you're using the language, not avoiding it.
And using English is how speaking grows.
Slowly, naturally, and in its own time.
Before we close, I want to say something directly to anyone listening who feels stuck.
Go ahead.
If you understand English but can't speak yet, it doesn't mean you'll never speak. It means you're still on the path.
And it's a real path, not an illusion.
You're walking it every time you listen, every time you try, every time you don't give up.
And one day, you'll realize you're speaking more than before.
Maybe without even noticing it.
So keep listening, keep echoing, keep being patient with yourself.
And remember, English isn't something you perform, it's something you live.
If this conversation made you feel a little calmer, a little more hopeful, that makes us really happy.
And if you want more calm, natural English conversations like this, you can subscribe to the channel.
We're here to walk this journey with you.
One conversation at a time.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.